This is going to be the show with the two Daniels tonight. One of them is me, and the other one is Dan from Bastille. Hey there.
Hey, we're both DS, but you've got a way better name than me.
Yeah, that's true. But Daniel is a good first name, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. It's been all right for me. I think in the UK, Daniel and Smith are both incredibly common names. They're like, as in, I was one of 6 Daniels in my class at school. And Smith is like basically one of the most generic names you can imagine. So I've kind of gone through life being a sort of John Doe figure name-wise. Maybe that's why I ended up in a band.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask it. Is that because you're doing music now to be something special?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe. Honestly, I'm not as boring as my name.
Yeah, but doing music is better than working in an insurance company with this name.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe. I've never worked in an insurance company, so I can't say for sure.
But you've got the second name Campbell, don't you? Which is more unique.
It is more unique. It's Scottish, and my dad had it, and his dad had it, and my nephew has it. And I guess, yeah, it's nice to have something that's not completely bland, but it's a middle name, so it's sort of hidden. It's hidden away.
Yeah. Okay. So you never tell anyone else you've got this Campbell in your name, or do you sometimes say, "Hey, my name is Daniel Campbell" when you're introducing yourself?
I never did that. I think Dan Smith is it's just easy. It comes out fast. I never really thought to give people my middle name because I just don't assume anyone would care. But it's nice to know that I've got it. You know,
that's true.
It's in the back pocket.
Daniel, how are you doing at the moment? I mean, it's crazy times this year, 2020.
That's a big question. How are you doing?
I know.
I guess I feel, all things considered, I'm doing all right. You know, me and my friends and my family have managed to sort of stay healthy, and most people I know haven't lost their jobs. Though a few, though quite a lot are, pretty worried, and in some situations have had to, get other work. So it's been, it's a very weird time. I think I feel very, very lucky to be able to make music and to not be worrying as much about work as a lot of people are. But yeah, I guess I'm excited to be putting songs out again. It's strange looking ahead to next year and not really knowing if or when touring will begin again, because that's been such a huge part of our lives for the last decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I feel pretty fortunate, amongst it all. How about you, man? How have you been? Are you all right?
I'm good, and I'm also happy to still have a job, which is also in Germany a very, big thing to talk about, how Corona will affect us during the next weeks and month, because numbers are going up.
Particularly in your government's been pretty great at supporting people, right? And particularly supporting this sort of artistic industries and the creative industries, in a way that you can correct me if I'm wrong, but compared to the UK and a lot of other countries, it seems like it's much more supportive than we've been.
Well, I guess you are right, but it also depends who you ask. If you are asking musicians in Germany, they are probably they've got a different opinion. We are supportive, but they are missing concerts very, very much, as you probably do as well. But how is life in UK?
Life in the UK is becoming more restricted again. I think it feels like we're about to head into whatever the second version of a lockdown might look like. Mm-hmm. You can see 6 people from 2 households. Pubs are now closing earlier. I mean, I understand that it's a very complicated and nuanced situation. I mean, our government is a fucking shit show, and run by a bunch of like absolute populist idiots. So that's problematic. I guess like with the rest of the world, given how everybody lives online, things can feel super, super divided. And especially in a year when, you know, everyone is much less sociable and living much smaller, you know, we're all living way smaller lives and seeing way fewer people.
Yeah.
So everyone's living online a lot more. And I think, you know, the divisions in society that have been kind of created, or not, you know, they feel more extreme than ever, which is kind of scary, particularly given that we're all, you know, living through this pandemic. And it's just really interesting and worrying to see, you know, people choosing what side of the fence to sit on, and what to believe and what to take as truth and what to reject. You know, that's kind of mad. But I think, you know, it's a problem here. It's also a problem in a lot of other places as well.
Yes, of course. We dived.
It's funny that like all of this the lockdown that we had and everything so far, particularly in the UK, was kind of also accompanied by this quite like beautiful summer that like really skewed things in quite an odd way. And I think living through this, but also nationally and globally being kind of really sick and tired of it, and now heading into winter, it's going to be really testing, I think.
Yes,
but
of course.
What the fuck? I'm just an idiot in the band, so no one really cares.
We've seen these pictures from the UK with all these hundreds and thousands of people at beaches celebrating summer like there was nothing going on. Have you seen these pictures as well, or have you been at places where people crowded up like this?
Oh, of course I saw them, and it's mortifying. And I think it's just really tricky to lay out rules for a country that assume that everyone's going to follow them. And then when our leaders also are breaking the rules, it's a very bad example to set. And then expect so many people who live indoors and don't have any outside space to comply with these rules. It's, you know, of course I saw those pictures. It's really shocking. You know, we saw them in America as well. We've seen them all over the place. But I guess what this year has shown is country by country, different governments taking different approaches. Yeah. And you leave things up to people to decide. Obviously, some people will break the rules, and you know, people just crave normality. They crave being outside and being with each other. That's like part of being a person, you know. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's fine at all. I don't think it's fine, but you can understand how it gets to that. It's so interesting to me that in Germany, were those the pictures you were seeing in the UK? Was it like, oh no, look at them now, they're all on the beach?
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, we dived really deep into this politics and Corona stuff.
I know. But it's gonna be the most fucking depressing hour of radio ever.
yeah, that's true. And probably we could talk about this for hours now, but I'm not sure if this is a show people would want on a Friday night.
No, cut it all. So what can we talk? It's hard though to talk about anything else, right? It's like, as in, because it has such a profound effect on everything, particularly in music. You know, our life for the last 8 years has been playing gigs, you know, nearly every day, and traveling and playing shows and being in rooms with thousands of people.
Yeah, that's true.
Pushed up against each other, and now you just it's hard to imagine. I mean, it's hard to imagine if and when it will be like that again. And obviously, we're all really impatient. We'd love that to be normal. I, as a music fan, miss going to gigs so much.
Of course you do.
Always been one of my favorite things to do, like going to festivals, seeing other bands, seeing the musicians and the artists and the albums that I love get played live. I miss it, man. I miss it so much. But, you know, people's health is more important, isn't it?
Yeah. Some honest words. What do you think? When will there be a first concert like it was before?
I really don't know. I mean, I imagine obviously people are impatient for a vaccine, but somewhere between a vaccine or some sort of testing system that is almost immediate. Maybe those things will signal the beginning of normality again when it comes to gigs, but I just don't know. We have some shows booked in for summer next year, a couple of orchestral gigs and a festival or two. But I don't know, something has to change. You know, some kind of breakthrough would need to happen. You know,
Of course.
technologically or medically for those things to happen, as everybody knows. So I don't know. It's impossible to predict. And we speak to our friends who also work in music all the time, and no one really knows. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it's not just music. It's theatre and cinema and all of the arts and so many other industries that are just completely on their knees at the moment. So it's a worrying time. And I just want the gigs back, man. I just want everyone to have their jobs back. It's scary for our crew, and so many touring crews and roadies all over the world who've just had their whole lives pulled from under their feet.
Yeah, that's true.
It's scary. Anyway, we're talking about it again. Dude, we slip back into it.
Yeah, well, I don't mind talking about Corona and the situation. I just do not want to spend the whole hour talking about politics. Give us an insight on your feelings. Did Corona change the way you see the world and you see your life?
It felt like it was this big universal thing happening to everyone. Obviously it affected people very differently, and given their life circumstances. But for me personally, I think it made me want to slow down a bit. I've been with the band and everything we do, just incredibly busy non-stop for the last 10 years. And I do love being busy, and I love being able to make music and make songs and tour and write for other people and, help run a label. All the things that we do, I love, but I also love my friends and my family and being sociable and seeing people and trying to fit that all in. Sometimes I think can be a bit much. So maybe it made me want to slow down a little bit and try and enjoy things more, and just make sure that you're kind of around for people, and available and supporting, friends and family. And I think on a much smaller musical level for us, we've always made albums in the middle of doing 100 other things.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we've been able to stop and just really make music. It's interesting for us that we'd always planned to not tour this year. So psychologically, we were prepared for this break from touring, which for us, touring has been our normal for 10 years. So we had kind of psyched ourselves up for this stopping of things. And it's obviously really fucking mad that the entire world has ground to a halt, or did grind to a halt. But I think it means that for us, it obviously was shocking and scary, but it was less of a shock than maybe for other bands who had, multiple years of tours booked in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This year for us has been about making music and, all the other things that everyone's doing, trying to be helpful in their community and trying to, be there for other people and stay alive. But musically for us, this year was kind of an opportunity to have a reshift in how we work and change our process a bit, be a bit more collaborative, and try and have a bit of a restart with the music that we're making. So in that respect, it's been quite like a productive year.
You just said that it's the first time you are doing an album, or you said normally you do your album in between other things, and this is the first time you are not doing this. So there's an album coming up.
Oh no.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Well, you know what? We're sort of working on a bunch of stuff. I've been working on a bunch of projects, and we'll see what they become. At the moment, we're just wanting to put songs out and enjoy surprising people a bit. I always think in my head in terms of albums, because I think it's useful mentally in trying to create a bunch of songs that sit in the same world. Mm-hmm. That's always been really important. But yeah, with these songs that we're putting out, we genuinely don't know at the moment. it's been like in the studio behind the scenes, like there's been a lot. We've been making a lot of music.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see what that becomes.
Yeah, interesting to see if they end up on another mixtape. Maybe, don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
So let's talk about the song "Surviving." I just heard that you wrote this song like a long time ago. What's the story behind the song?
So I wrote it with some friends last year, and it just came really quickly. And I always loved it because it felt really different from things that we'd released before. And then we recorded it at the very beginning of the year, just before lockdown. I just really loved it. It was part of a big collection of songs that I'd made over the last sort of year or so. And I guess it was about coming to the end of this long period of touring that we've had for sort of 7 years. And, you know, almost seeing it like like a sort of shift in a relationship, or it could be like using the end of a relationship as a kind of analogy for that feeling. Just because knowing that you're going to stop doing what you've done, you know, every day for the last 7 years is a weird feeling. So I guess I wanted to address it, and it became kind of caught up in that thing that British people do quite a lot, where if someone asks you how you are, you just say, "Yeah, I'm fine." Even if it's you know, very far from the truth. I feel like with a lot of British people, the building that they're in could be burning down, and you know, a tidal wave could be about to crash through the city that they're in, and they'd still be like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So I guess I wanted to poke fun at that a little bit. But then I guess when lockdown begun and people realized the severity of the pandemic and everybody's lives became a kind of Groundhog Day, I was a bit worried that the song sounded like it was written for this year, and it wasn't.
Yeah, of course.
For this year, you know, it just became more and more like relevant feeling. So in some ways, I was kind of nervous about that, and I didn't want to feel like I was exploiting the situation. But I also love the song. I love how it sounds. I love how different it is, and to some of my friends who I played it to, they really connected with it and felt like, even if it wasn't meant to be about this year, that it felt like useful and cathartic. And I remember playing it to some mates and them just being really surprised by the sonic of it. When we put it together, we wanted each of the moments of production to be a nice little surprise. So, you know, you think you know what the groove is, and there's the drums and the bass, and then the pre-chorus hits, and there's suddenly loads of flutes, and my vocal goes hard auto-tuned, and then you think you know what the song is, and then everything's sucked out, and the chorus is just a big gang of vocals and a bass and a drum.
Honestly,
and then out of nowhere slams in this like incredibly loud saxophone. And I guess as the song goes on, new things come in and out at all different times, but the main thing is it's quite kind of relaxed feeling, and that there's just loads of space. And I don't think relaxed or spacious are words that people use to describe our music.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
actually, I just wanted to say that this is the first time for a while when I was surprised listening to a song when the saxophone came. I actually did not expect that at all, and I'm a big fan of it. Who played that? Is it you who played the saxophone?
Oh no, I wish it was me. I can't play the saxophone, unfortunately. There's a guy who we work with called Ritipo, who is an insanely talented musician. He's actually toured with us. When we toured our second album, Wild World, he was part of the brass section, and in all of the orchestrated shows that we've done recently, he's been part of the orchestra, and he's a really good friend. He's a really funny guy, but he's also just crazy talented on the saxophone, on all kind of woodwind instruments. So he came down the studio with a collection of saxophones and some flutes, and he just played all over the song. And we picked that one line because I wanted it to be like a real surprise. I wanted the sax to come out of nowhere.
It really is. It really is.
Thanks, man. All right, and I guess it's maybe not to everyone's taste, but I guess the idea behind it was that it was like almost like opening the door to somebody playing the saxophone really loudly.
Yeah.
Like Lisa Simpson just crashed in on the party. And that's why in the mix it's so loud and it's so brief, because there's a big difference between somebody playing a saxophone through an entire song or just a moment of it, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that's with this song and with the song that we released earlier in the year, What You Gonna Do? I guess the idea was sonically to just be a lot more direct. In the production that we do on most of the Bastille songs on our first 3 albums, there's so much going on. There's so much detail in the beats and all the bass lines and the string arrangements and the brass arrangements and the backing vocals and all the synths and the guitars. And I think we were sometimes guilty of trying to pack too many ideas into a song. And what that means is that ultimately a lot of the production that we put loads of work into, people can't really hear, because then I come along and sing really loudly over the top of it. So I guess the kind of philosophy behind all the music we've been making this year and we'll continue to make is to just try and use a bit more simplicity to show off the elements of the music that we're trying to push to the front. And so, you know, in this song it's the sax. In What You're Gonna Do, it's just about being incredibly heavy and louder than people would expect us to be.
Dan, since we only got 5 minutes left, I would like to talk about some other story that happened during this Corona times. Did you get any message from Katy Perry?
No, I didn't.
Man.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Didn't she just have a baby?
I'm not sure, but I think she must have the baby by now, because otherwise it would be like 10 months or 11. I don't know. So
yeah, no. We said that we complimented one of her songs, and then she got in touch and asked if we wanted to work together. And yeah, Katy Perry's fucking awesome. That'd be really fun. but it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet, unfortunately.
But you would say yes if she calls? I
mean, if I love the song, and I'd love to write a song with her. That would be really fun.
About babies, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was funny during lockdown. We ran a film club called Distraction Tactics, where every week we went to a different country and watched a different film from that country, and then got all of our fans who were part of the film club to kind of send in questions and reactions to the film, and then we would we'd do a sort of Instagram live film club where I would put the fans' questions to the filmmaker, so like the director or the animator or the writer or an actor, and that was really fun. And I think it was interesting to see. Part of the reason we did it was to hopefully distract people and take them out of their houses for half an hour and out of the pandemic for a minute, and to travel the world via these films. But also knowing that all these usually very, very busy people were much less busy for a minute, allowed us to have these conversations. You talked about Katy Perry, but it was, for me, just fascinating speaking to like Taika Waititi or Tom Tveika, like all these different people. It was awesome. Knowing for a minute this year that everyone in the world, no matter how busy they were, had this kind of enforced slowdown of their lives. As fucked up as it is, it was interesting, and I guess it was good for our film club.
Yeah, and it also opened some new doors. Yeah, how many hours a week do you spend on Instagram? You're doing a lot of stuff there.
Oh, good question. Probably not that many. Not as much as you'd think. I think during lockdown, probably a fair amount, because we did a few like acoustic gigs on during lockdown, and and we did the film club. I think the most amount of time I've spent on Instagram was scrolling through and writing down all the questions that different fans had about films. For the first time, it made me really engage with everyone, and it was kind of cool to see how many different people from different countries all over the world were engaging with this club.
Yeah,
it was really humbling and also really nice. During a year that's been quite isolating for a lot of people, to find a way, or to find different ways to feel connected to so many different people was really great.
Dan, I think our time is over. Thank you very much for being such a nice guy.
Mate, thank you so much for having me. Take care, man.